Hey, the biggest liar that you will ever meet looks back at you every morning in the bathroom mirror. Hey, I'm Mitch, and I'm your host here at Keeping the Vows. And I've been married for 37 plus years to Kim. I've been a pastor counselor for over 30 years. And today I want to talk to you about something called self talk. It's about how we talk to ourselves. We might think that it's not important how we talk to ourselves, but I promise you that it is important how we talk to ourselves. Maybe you don't understand what it is. Well, maybe you lose your keys and you say, "Oh, Mitch, you idiot." And you say, "Well, I don't mean that." Well, yes, you do. It still registers, even though you might not think that you mean it. Now, these things that we say can be either verbal, it can be something we say, or it can be something that we just think. So there's hundreds of things every single day that we tell ourselves like this. So what it is we tell ourselves misbeliefs, things that aren't true. So in this book, Telling Yourself the Truth, it's not a self-help book. It's very much a Christian-based book, has lots of scripture in it, but it works on this premise. The first thing we do is we identify the misbelief. We find something that we're telling ourselves it's not right. Okay. The second thing we do is we argue against it. And then the third thing that we do is we replace it with the truth. So I'll just give you a really quick and easy one. Okay. I'm 5'6". And when I was in high school, there was this unwritten code that you don't date girls taller than you. And of course, to me, it seemed like that ruled out half of my class, right? But so I just felt like I was less of a person because I was 5'6". So what if I went through my life telling myself I'm less of a person because I'm 5'6"? There's actually syndromes they call short man or Napoleon syndrome, where a man is short, and so to compensate for it, he tries to make up with his attitude, with the way he talks to people, with the achievements that he tries to make. And people go out and strive their whole lives to do something great because they don't think they measure up. Well, what if I would have let that happen to me? So let's take that very misbelief and let's examine it in the way I said. The misbelief is I'm 5'6", so I'm less of a person. Okay. Well, let's argue against it. Well, it's easy to argue against this one. I didn't even do it. God made me 5'6". Okay. So let's replace it with the truth. You know what? If I'm going to be 5'6", I'm going to be the best 5'6" that I can be for Jesus. Now I don't think anymore about being 5'6". We had a Mazda Miata. Never once hit my head on the top. Not used to bumping my heads on doorways and things. Both our boys are 6 foot or so, and they bump their heads on the Miata and things like that. Doesn't bother me at all. I am what I am, and I'm not going to be less of a person because I'm 5'6". So there's lots of scripture in the book to, like I said, to go along with this and help you. I want to give you some examples of some things that happened to us. At our church, when we taught small groups, we would have 3 semesters a year of small groups. In other words, you could sign up for any class you wanted 3 different times a year. And so we had people sign up for Telling Yourself the Truth. We ran it for 3 semesters during the year, 3 separate times. Normally you have 10 to 12 people in a small group. Well, we had so many people sign up, we really hit a nerve. And in 3 semesters, instead of having 30 or 36 people go through, we had over 100 people go through the small group in 3 semesters. And as a matter of fact, we never had a semester where we finished with fewer people than we started. That's incredibly rare. Never had a semester we finished with fewer people than what we started. And so the people would also come and say, "Hey, I gave away another book. Can I get another book? Can I do that?" Now, in our last semester, we had about 50 people, and so word had gotten out. And so what we did was I would do like a 20 or 30-minute intro at the beginning, and then I would have about 3 really good small group facilitators, and they would each take the same small group of about 15 people each week. So every week the people had their small group, but that's just how popular it was. Now, on about week 3 of that small group, I tell the people, "Hey, when you come back next week, bring me a misbelief that you thought." And the next week, a lady came back early, and Kim and I were there. And what she said just shocked me. She said, "Do you want to know my misbelief?" And I said, "Sure." She said, "I had to tell myself I'm not a bitch." Now, they tell you in pastoral ministry training, they said, don't ever let your jaw hit the desk when somebody tells you something. Don't ever be surprised, right? So inside, I was going, "What? You are such a nice lady. Why would you think that?" But on the outside, I'm saying, "Really? Tell me about that." And she says, "Yeah, you want to know my epiphany?" And I said, "Sure." She said, "I work in debt collection. So last night I told myself I'm not a bitch. But this morning, the first 3 people I called told me that I was." So what if she went through her whole life thinking that that's who she was? As it was, instead, she changed her way of thinking. She understood her identity in God. She understood that God made her beautiful, and she was like a beautiful flower that just blossomed and bloomed. And Kim and I could just see her through the 12 weeks, just growing and growing and growing as a person. And to this day, she's just a beautiful, vibrant person. When you see her, she has great self-esteem, all because she had to tell herself the truth. Well, we all need to do things like that. There's lots of chapters in there. There's chapters about all different types of things, about what I tell myself about about it would be terrible if others didn't do what I thought. It'd be terrible if everybody didn't love me. It goes through about 6 or 8 different things. So you might read the book, and about the first 3 chapters, you think this will be good for somebody else, but not for me. But trust me, keep going; it'll be good. There was a guy that came into my office, and he was in charge of an area of Celebrate Recovery, which is like a Christian AA. And I gave him a copy of the book, and he called me up about a week later or two, and he said, "Hey, I need to talk to you sooner than later. Let's have lunch." So we had lunch that day, and he brought the book, and it was all dog-eared. It looked like it was 3 years old or 5 years old, and he just had it a week or two. And he says, "Mitch, I'm going to be reading a page out of this book every single day the rest of my life." He said, "Everybody should read this book." And I've told him, I said, the litmus test for me is, if you're breathing, you need to read the book. If you have breath, you need to read the book. It's just that way. There's no place in the Bible where it says you can't change. As a matter of fact, the scripture says you will be changed by the renewing of your mind. And so it's kind of like if my kid would come to me and say, "Well, I didn't ask to be born." That's kind of how it is when we put ourselves down. God created this in his image. He created this in the way that he wanted to. But if we go to him and say, "Well, I'm less than I should be," it's kind of like saying, "I wish I wasn't even born." And that's really hurting. You're a new creation. You're God's creation, okay? And you'll be changed by the renewing of your mind. And I'll tell you something else. There's no one out there right now having a meeting on how to make you a better person. You're the one that's going to have to make you a better person. You're the one that's going to have to do that. As long as we have a pulse, we have a purpose. As long as we have a pulse, we have a purpose. A marriage is the culmination of the best or the worst of each of you. And you put that together, and that's a marriage. And you can't be the best possible spouse unless you're the best possible you. You got to be the best version of you. You got to be, like Mitch 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. You got to be the best possible version of you. So Kim and I aren't going to have a great relationship if I have a horrible self-esteem myself, if I think that I'm less than I am. Now, you say, well, how should you look at yourself? This is how I look at myself. I'm all right. But with God in me, I have an unfair advantage over the rest of the world. With God in me, I have so much going for me. And so that's how I view myself. But the things that I am physically, the way I look, this and that, women, I know hardly any woman has a good self-image of how they look or their body. Get rid of all that if you can. Your identity is in Jesus Christ. It's not in the shape of your body or how you look. And so I'd like to just invite you to do this. Get into study if you would. Get the book. You can actually go to a link here and go to our webpage, keepingthevows.com. You can order it there if you don't mind helping us out. We're an affiliate that way. It kind of helps us. And so order it there. Get in a Bible study if you want to. As a matter of fact, there's even a place in the back that has study notes for you if you're in a group. So you have study questions for each chapter. It's really a great thing to do. So the book changed my life a lot. Hopefully it'll change your life a lot. And if you like this, remember to hit the like or subscribe buttons. Remember to check us out on keepingthevows.com. Hey, I know that I can learn things from you, and hopefully you can learn something from me. So let's get started and let's learn together. Be sure to comment, tell me ideas, and we'll learn from each other. Also, don't forget to do Q&As because I love to do that. Go to keepingthevows.com, check out our Q&As. Have a great day.